News 11, the Hunter Rowland Report with Lee Hunter and Ken Rowland. The Kentuckiana weather forecast with Linda Steele and Paul Rogers with sports.
Good evening, everyone. On tonight's action report, a 2-alarm fire and an update on 2 men charged with murder. Tom and Tier just got back a short time ago from that fire scene. Tom, tell us about it.
Well, the River Glen Park, or what was left of it, was the scene of a blazing 2-alarm fire. The first alarm was turned in about 3:30, and when the first fire equipment arrived at the scene, they called in extra engines right away. The park has been closed for some time, and what was left of it was being torn down for salvage. Firemen were hampered somewhat by low water pressure from the fire hydrants in the area, but managed to save most of the park. The heat from the fire was so intense that firemen were checking houses a block away for additional fires. Most of the rides and buildings were sold at auction some time ago, and damage estimates weren't available. One man who lived across from the park says he saw 2 children run from the building before the blaze started.
Tom, you've been following up on the murder case where the body was reported thrown off the Kenai Bridge the other day. What's new on that?
Well, Lee, the 2 Indiana men who were charged with the kidnap and murder of James Harper appeared in court this morning. They've been charged with a capital crime. This means they could get the death penalty if they're convicted. The Kentucky Rescue Association continued their search today of the Ohio River close to the Shawnee Golf Course for the body of James Harper with no success. Last night, police raided this mobile home in New Albany and arrested this man, 21-year-old Willie Appleby, after a shootout with police. A second man ran from the rear of the trailer and was captured within a few minutes by New Albany police. He is identified as 27-year-old James Albert Lofton. Both men are from New Albany and are now being held in Louisville and have been denied bail because they are charged with a capital crime.
Tom, do you usually have to have a body before charges can be filed?
Not always, Lee. In this case, they say that they have enough witnesses that actually saw the crime take place and some other evidence they won't talk about until they get into court.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Ken?
Thousands of small Jefferson County youngsters reached a milestone in their lives today. Their parents signed them up to attend school in September. This was the scene at the Breckenridge School on East Broadway, but it was repeated in every elementary school in the system and in many Catholic schools, which also registered students today. About 2,200 children were signed up for kindergarten, about 700 for Head Start. The first grade total came to about 5,600, although the system's projections for the fall show an enrollment of about 10,000 first graders. Some parents couldn't make it today, and those who move into the system later will, of course, register then. The 10,000 projection also includes those children who will flunk this year and have to repeat the first grade. And that has turned out to be a major problem. In fact, 1/4 of all Jefferson County first graders don't pass. Brian Dampier's been checking to find out why so many first graders fail.
The most recent state figures are for the last school year, before merger in Jefferson County. But school officials predict about 25% of the kids won't go on to the second grade because they can't read well enough. The statewide rate is 12%. Before the old county system, it was 20%, but only 9% for the old city system. All neighboring school districts have lower rates, some dramatically so. Anchorage, Bullitt, Hardin, Meade, and Oldham all show very low rates, while E-Town and Shelby are somewhat higher. Only the Spencer School District approaches the level here. But Jefferson County school officials say such comparisons are unfair because many systems just pass on students, whether they're ready or not. Furthermore, local officials say students here don't actually flunk, in the sense they go back and take the whole year over. Students progress at their own pace and repeat only those areas they haven't mastered. Jefferson County school officials say they're not worried about the high retention rate here, that research shows that normally about 1/4 of most first graders aren't ready to begin school when their parents start them. But Juanita Downing, director for elementary and secondary education, admits more black first graders will be held back.
I don't think they'll be held back any more often than white children will. I think they may be held more often than they were previously just because of this difference in philosophy.
Downing says the old city system's philosophy generally was to pass on children of the same age and let them work at a lower grade if needed. Some educators say that kindergarten helps many children to adjust to being away from home for the first time and prepares them for first grade, where they're supposed to learn how to read. But school officials say there simply isn't enough money for kindergartens. Brian Dampier, News 11.
Jefferson County Attorney J. Bruce Miller said today he will ask Federal Judge James Gordon to delay hearings now set for early May on possible changes in the school desegregation plan. Miller said those hearings should not be held without first having guidelines from the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals on just what is needed for school desegregation. He said the current plan drawn up without those guidelines is, as he put it, a monstrosity. But Miller said if the hearings are held as scheduled, the county will have a plan of its own.
Involuntary busing, where people had no opportunity to decide that they wanted to be bused, would be eliminated. It's our considered judgment that a plan can be developed where people, for a number of reasons, would be willing to send their kids to a school some distance away, maybe not as far away as they're going now, but some distance away to receive a particular type of education.
Miller would not discuss county government's plan in detail. Ken?
Robert Barrett, the government's top mine safety official, testified before a Senate committee today which is probing the 2 explosions at the Scotia mine in Letcher County that took 26 lives. Barrett said the decision to send 13 men into the mine after 15 miners died there was made by consensus. He said it was agreed the mine appeared safe. 11 of the 13 died in the second explosion. Barrett said the mine had never been listed on the government's list of problem mines, despite 110 closure orders for safety violations.
Coming up, a look at potential dangers in a proposed nuclear plant, and our consumer reporter checks to see if your gallon of milk is really a gallon. Stay with us.